My name is Rossana Coro. I am a digital designer and a data visualizer, founder of Surreal Dataviz and co-founder of the Data Suffragette. I want to start by quoting our favorite nurse and data visualizer, Florence Nightingale, who said, whenever I am infuriated, I revenge myself with a new diagram. Surreal Dataviz started like this also for me. Me and Nightingale share the same trigger. I was infuriated too, because I was commuting every day, and I become very infuriated and pity. In fact, my first visualization was called pettiness on the escalator. The escalator effect. I started to notice that every time that I say to people in front of me, please go on your right, I was not really in a hurry, just sometimes. I just like very much to annoy people, especially when I was right. Speaking about patterns, I also wanted to quote the comedian, the very famous comedian Tim Minchin, who said the weirdest thing about a mind is that every answer that you find is the basis of a brand new cliche. And speaking about cliche, I started to observe a lot of cliches around me in my commuting time. Like, for example, the very, very, very annoying habit of my fellow commuters of standing in front of the train door, preventing me to get in the train. So, instead of playing Tetris like Alessia, but with their bodies, I decided to transform this pettiness and infuriation in a Gaussian distribution, because in fact the wagon reminds me a lot the Gaussian distribution. The fact is that now I just see things in patterns, and one of these patterns is my creative process, my modus operandi. So I start with a very trivial subject. Then I took it to extreme consequences, and then I visualize the results in a way which is clear that they are approximations. This is very, very important to me, because I don't want people to believe that you can build statistics just from your personal biased observation. You need more than your point of view. I want this visualization to be clearly a joke. So next question is why I was doing this. Why use an academic language in order to give credibility to some approximations? First, because it made me laugh. Second, because it made data visualization more accessible. And I frankly witnessed this because one of my best friends didn't read data visualization because he find them very difficult. Then I obliged him to follow my account, and he told me that he started to read data visualization also in the newspaper, because he discovered with humor he discovered how to read, how to properly read a Dataviz. But I finally realized a very important thing. I finally realized that I could spread some important messages. So now Surreal Dataviz is something else, is something more various that you can classify in a spectrum, like a compass, like the political compass, the famous political compass, but in this case, political compass. You have two axes, from not engaged to engaged, and from data and data set based to observations and approximation based. So let's talk about project based on data. The first one is a data set based, not engaged. So it's very it's based on data set, but with a light-hearted subject. It's the less political one, but I like it very much. It's called the Corgis. I was on vacation on UK, and I started to notice that there were a lot of corgis in the street, and I wondered why there were so many corgis in the streets, more than the last time I was in the UK, and I had a suspect. So I went to the Kennel Club, the Kennel Club website, which is a website about dog adoption, and I discovered that they had a very complete data set about adoption from 2012 to 2021. And I crunched a little bit my numbers, and I discovered that since 2016, the Corgis adoption increased. Increased very much, and I discovered also that in 2016 the TV show The Crown, which is dedicated to the Queen of UK, of the Queen Elizabeth, was on air. I know correlation is not causation, but first, did you see how cute they are, the Queen's corgis? And the second, maybe the show helped popularize the breed. The second one are data or data set based and engaged. So they are more political. I call it the Sancta Sanctorum. The Sancta Sanctorum means the most holy in Latin, and this is a collection of historical female figures biographies used as an introduction for contemporary subjects. I call it Sancta Sanctorum because I use a Catholic iconography, but turn in a very girly style. And also because the first one is about an actual saint, Saint Lucy. My second name is Lucia, and I used to and every year I used to make fun of her splatter iconography with her eyes on the plate, But I finally maybe grew up and I realized that she was just a child bride. So I take the opportunity to make amend to her. I did my research and I discovered that according to UNICEF, 1 out of 5 women gets married before the age of 18, like Saint Lucy did, and she died also because of this. She was very, very young and she didn't want to marry. This one is a very important project to me because it's about my grandmother. As you could notice, as you can notice also from Alessia's speech, we valued very much grandmothers in Italy. She was a teacher, a primary school teacher, and she believed that her and her colleague alphabetized Italy during the 40 the 40 teaching years, and I used to make fun of her proud because I thought she was a little bit exaggerated. But then again, I grew up and I decided to do some research in order to make amend again. And I discovered that she was right. From the 30s to the 70s, illiteracy in Italy decreased of 15%. And I decided to, I also, the source are from the Italian Statistical Institute, Istat. And I also found this picture of her with her class, and I decided to transform her students in a histogram. Unfortunately, we don't have the data from the 40s because there was the war. But I'm sure she was teaching because she told me about that. Fun fact, the girl in the blue circle had been her doctor for her last 20 years of her life. These are the projects based on observations. Donc, this first one is not engaged, and observation and approximation based, and is called the baguette loop. I am very fond of this project because it's my first project, which is not about commuting. Yeah, sometimes life is not all about trains. And I realized that every time I went to the bakery, I buy a baguette and I eat it during my way back. So I arrived home and I realized that I need a new one. And I thought that that could be potentially an infinite loop, at least until the end of my life. Then we have observation and approximation based, but engaged. This kind of posts are very rare because it's a little bit tricky to mix just approximation and politics, because it very easily become complotism. And in fact, this post is about complotism. It's about fake news and confirmation bias, and it is the direct correlation between alcohol put in your body and monsters and aliens in. there is a fifth, sorry, I can't count, a fifth kind of Dataviz, and it's, I call it between a meme and Dataviz, because I use the language of Dataviz in order to do meme. This is an example of it. It's called the Atwood climax, as Margaret Atwood. When I heard about the Supreme Court decision about abortion, I thought I was watching, okay, I was binge watching The Handmaid's Tale, and I thought that I felt like I was watching the news. And so I use the silhouette of the handmaid in order to imitate a curve. So this is the end. Thank you very much